Hey fam, how are you all doing? Thank you so much for stopping by. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 7 things you need to consider before moving abroad. And this applies to anyone moving to the UK, to the US, to Canada, to any part of Europe, or even to any part of the world. So these things are quite simple, but a lot of times people take them for granted, and as a result, they struggle when they get to a new country. But before I go on, if this is your first time of stopping in my channel, then please subscribe and turn on your bell icon so you don't miss out on any of my updates. And to my returning subscribers, my returning followers, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you for your love and for your support and for always coming back to my channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. The things you need to consider if you're wanting to move to a new country, if you wanted to relocate to a new country. The first thing on my list is the reason why you want to travel. So you need to identify the reason why you want to travel. Because if you know why you want to travel, then you'll be able to know what visas to apply for. You'll be able to plan your next steps once you arrive at that country. A lot of times people don't know why they want to move abroad. And I said this in my previous video where I talked about the expectations and the realities of moving abroad. If you don't know why you're wanting to move, then it becomes difficult for you to navigate through the system. It becomes difficult for you to even start from anywhere because you don't know why you're moving in the first place. But if you know, then you'll know what visas to apply for. Say for instance, you want to move to a new country so that you can start education, so that you can study, then you know that you need to apply for a student visa. If you want to go to a new country to start a business, you know that you can apply for an entrepreneurship visa. I don't know why that word was a bit difficult for me to pronounce. If you want to go just because you want to get a new job, or maybe you already have a new job, then it's easy for you to know what visas to apply for. Okay, so the reason why you want to travel is very important for you to identify. Okay, and the second on my list is your accommodation. So yes, this is so simple, but a lot of people don't put it into consideration. People don't give it a deep thought. Okay, and we've heard stories whereby people travel abroad and they've said to someone, okay, when I come to maybe Canada or to the US or wherever, you're going to pick me up at the airport, and the people that are supposed to pick them up do not show up. Okay, and at the end of the day, they become stranded in a country that they have never been before. Sometimes people get into a new country, they have maybe a family or a friend that they are living with, so that's a good plan. So you want to make your preparation, adequate preparation, before you eventually move to a new country. So there are a number of websites that you can go to if you're looking for a property to rent, like Rightmove, Zoopla, on the market, a number of properties, and you can get maybe a 1-bedroom flat, a 2-bedroom flat, a 3-bedroom flat, or even more. Whatever your choice is, you can get them on these websites. When I came to the UK, what I did was to stay in a B&B for a couple of days. Maybe for the first week, I stayed in a B&B, and from there, I began to look for a place that I could stay, somewhere that wasn't so expensive for me to start living in. Okay, so that's an option for you as well. Just make sure that you have some money that you can use to rent, just in case, for instance, you're wanting to meet with a family member or a friend, and they don't show up. You want to have that backup money. It's okay, you know what? Even though this person that did not come to pick me up, or this person hasn't helped me, I have this backup money that I can use to get myself an accommodation. Okay, so it's really important. Otherwise, you find yourself living on the streets and you know it's not funny in a strange land where you know no one, you know nothing about the country. You don't want to be found and living on the streets, or being stranded for that matter. Okay, so the third thing on my list is the language, especially if you're coming from a country that is non-English speaking to an English speaking country, or from an English speaking country to a non-English speaking country. Okay, so you need to consider the language of where you are going to. So do they speak English? Say for instance, you're coming from somewhere like Nigeria where they speak English, to somewhere like, let's say, France, where they speak French, or maybe to Germany where they speak Dutch. You know, you want to consider, okay, if I get there, will I be able to cope? How will I be able to adapt to the system, knowing that there's a language barrier? So you need to prepare yourself to know that, okay, in order for me to blend into the system, I would need to learn the language. So it's really important that you consider the language before you go into the country. Now, this is not saying that because they speak a different language from you, that means that you can't stay in that country. Of course you can, but you need to understand before you get there that you need to learn the language. You will need to learn their language when you get there. Next on my list, which is also so important, is finance. And I think I talked about it a little bit in my previous point. So you want to think about finance. So how are you going to support yourself while you are in this new country? Not just for the first week, not just for the second week, going forward, how are you going to support yourself? Okay, so you need to be thinking about that. You want to have enough money with yourself for a start, so that you're not stranded. And then going forward, you need to know that, okay, you need to get a job somehow that you're going to use to support yourself. And even if you were fortunate enough to be accommodated by a member of your family or maybe a friend, you would also need to contribute in terms of feeding and sometimes maybe in terms of the bills that are being paid in the house. Then you want to consider are your basic essentials. Say for instance, if you're someone that's on medication, you want to make sure that you have enough medication when you travel, so that when you come, you're not stranded or you don't run out of your medication before you eventually go and see a doctor that will prescribe medications for you. Also, your basic things like your toiletries. So yes, you want to get them. I remember even after staying in the UK for such a long time, I was still getting my toiletries from Nigeria because they are different. Okay, and I found it difficult to use the soap here because it was mostly moisturizing, but in Africa the soap we use are like, they just clean your skin and you can hear the squeaky clean on your skin. So it was different. It took me time to be able to adjust. So you want to get those essentials when you're coming. In terms of your clothes, what the clothes you're going to wear. If you're coming from a warm country or from a hot tropical country to a country that's cold, you want to consider what clothes will be beneficial for you, what clothes will be needed, what clothes will you need when you get to that country. You need to consider that. If you're coming from a cold country to a warm country, then you also want to consider what clothes will be ideal for you when you arrive. Because if you try to wear clothes that you wear in a warm climate in a cold climate, I'm telling you, you will not survive. Okay, you won't survive. And at the same time, you can't go from a cold environment to a warm climate and expect that you can wear the same things. You need to be able to adjust. So you need to consider that and maybe buy yourself some of these essentials before you come to the new country or to whatever country that you are moving to. This leads me nicely to my next point, which is the weather. So you want to consider the weather in the place that you're going to. Say for instance, you're coming from an extremely warm climate to like Nigeria or maybe any other African country to an extremely cold climate like somewhere like Canada, then you need to be able to think about the difference, because it is definitely different. Okay, so you want to consider that and know that, okay, it's going to be a big shift for you. I also want to consider the time of the year that you want to travel. Okay, so it might be best if you're coming from a warm climate to a cold climate, it might be best if you travel in the summer. Okay, so that the difference, yes, the difference is still going to be there, but it won't be as much as if you were traveling from Africa to somewhere like Canada in the winter. I bet you would know what the difference is. So you might want to consider the time of the year, the weather and the season before you decide that you are traveling. Okay, and my final point, which is so important, which ties in with everything I've been talking about today, is your mindset. Okay, so you need to change your mindset. You need to be aware that you're going from one country to another. Things are not going to be the same. Things that might not be rosy for you. Things might not be smooth. So it's possible that it could be, but there's a possibility that it might not be smooth sailing. Okay, so you might struggle a bit before you begin to get back on your feet. Okay, you need to program your mind in a way that you know that this is going to be a big change. It might not be easy, but you're determined that you're going to be okay. Okay, so that's just it for today. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, give this video a thumbs up, share this video with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And if you like any video topics you want me to talk about, then please leave them in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to look into them. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.